Time now for our Commissioner's Conversation here on the CIF Southern Section podcast. Rob Wigod, the Commissioner himself, here with us after a very busy high school football championship weekend. You look rested, you look ready to go right into the state portion of the brackets.
I am ready to go, Sam, and thanks for having me. It was a great weekend. Lots of excitement all over the section like it usually is, and I had an opportunity to go out to another game on Saturday night as well as being at the modern-day St. John Bosco game, and spent a lot of time on state bracketing and working with the group from the state office to get the Southern Regionals all set up. So we got that done, and now we're on to the next.
I was breaking it down during the Open, looking at all the 13 different divisions and how the competitive equity has really given us some good storylines. You had a couple of first-time champions. You had a situation where two teams from the same league won in different brackets, which I think is awesome because clearly one of those teams would not have had an opportunity to really compete if they were both in the same section. That's the way it works out, but they both have their shot at glory. Having seen the results of all 13 divisions, what's your favorite story amongst all those champions?
Well, I think personally my favorite story was Division 12, where I had a former student athlete of mine at Los Alamitos High School who was the head coach at Artesia, and by happenstance their opponent was Linfield Christian, who was a head coach there as a student athlete at Bishop Amat when Glenn Martinez was coaching there, our assistant commissioner. We kind of enjoyed that opportunity to go out and watch that game on Saturday night, just to see two young men that we knew as high school student athletes going on to be head coaches. So that on a personal level was a great story. And then Western High School wins their first ever championship since the school opened. Artesia, as I mentioned, had never ever even been in the semifinals, much less had a chance to compete for a section championship. You have a school like Adelanto, who was 0-10 a year ago, a fairly new school who gets the opportunity to win a championship for obviously the first time in their short history, against another very new school in Orange Vista who's only been around maybe 3-4 years. At the top with Bosco and Modern Day rematching, and a lot of folks talking about that. Well, that's where they belong. That's where they should play. And maybe there's some familiarity there because they are right now at the top. But then when you weave your way through the other divisions, you see a lot of different stories and some special memories that I think some schools were able to take away. Lawndale, I think, was 1966 was their last championship. The Arcadia story where Coach Salter at Arcadia, the stadium's named for him, had such a great career there, but they hadn't been back in 40+ years to a final. And his son wins a championship at Upland as a head coach. His other son is the athletic director at Culver City, who won a championship. So there's a lot of stories to weave.
Rob Wigod, Commissioner of the Southern Section, here with us, and let's play devil's advocate, because there are the people that look at the competitive equity and want it changed for a couple reasons. One would be you're no longer looking at schools based off school size. So you've got some public schools competing against private schools. You've got large student bodies competing against small ones. That's different from other sections. The other argument I hear most often is when we get to state, we're not as competitive as we used to be. You've got, in theory, the 16 best teams in the Southern Section are all bashing their heads against one another. So the next best team has to be, at best, number 17? That's not actually how it works out, but when you get up to the state tournament, everyone likes a winner. We want to see the Southern Section represented, and they say, how come we've given up our third best team to a semifinal loss to Bosco when in the North Coast section and the Central Coast section and any of the other ones, they're a champion too?
There has been a lot of discussion about that. It's more of a philosophical approach. It's the idea of, if they were to say to us, you get 12 entries into state football championships, you rank them 1 through 12. Well, arguably, those would probably all be Division I teams from our section. The feeling is that every section champion should have an opportunity to go on to state regionals. And that's what is the philosophy right now that allows all of our champions from top to bottom to get a chance. We'll see how that plays out. Some of the northern sections have been sending runner-ups from their open division. The Los Angeles section has done that. This is the last year that that's going to happen. It's going to be section champions only. We've always done that in the Southern Section anyway. But I think, and I even overheard Coach Rawlinson a little bit before I had a chance to come in, the state football bowl championships are a different mindset. I believe in talking with our coaches, and even when you talk to their student athletes, the Southern Section Championship is their goal. Whatever happens after that becomes more of a gravy, or you hear the expression house money. No one's going to walk away from a state regional game or a state championship game who has not already been getting their rings sized and has a great season to celebrate. So the mindset at the state level, at least for now, is to allow as much participation as possible up and down the divisions in terms of competition level. And I have to see how that continues to play out.
Totally agree with you there. I mean, I got the sense from talking to Coach that not that state is something he doesn't want to participate in. He's a competitor. The kids are competitors. But winning the Southern Section is a goal worth, striving for in and of itself that other sections really don't have. If you look at a De La Salle, there isn't anyone to compete with. They need the Southern Section more than the Southern Section needs them to kind of not validate, but give them something to shoot for. And, other states that are smaller, easier to manage, sure, playing a state championship game is better. If you're in Rhode Island, that's the size of what? Los Angeles County? So, or even smaller than that. But here it's such a big state, it's so hard to do and so hard to match different philosophies and playoffs. I can see how it's difficult.
When you win a championship in our section, I believe you've had quite a journey. It's been difficult, it's been competitive, and I think those that come through and win are very, very proud of that, and that was their goal. So I support that. I agree with them. We're very, very proud of our competitive level here. It's not the same around the state, and we go forward into the state playoffs with, I think, the idea that we are going to do the best we can. We still want to win. We're competitive. Yet in the back of our minds, trying to just get to the section championship or to win the section championship, the pressure level, if you want to call it that, or the anxiety about that probably is much higher during the section playoffs than it might be during state. There's two different ways I think you can look at this. Are you a team and coaching staff who've really enjoyed being together, who have celebrated a championship, and just we get to play again? We get to go out there again without some of the pressures and things that we might have had leading up to the section championship. Or it's really been a long season. We won our ring. We have our plaque. Maybe it's time to put this stuff away and do something else. And I think that's the challenge for our coaches and our players. Which one are you going to be?
Well, we'll look ahead to what's next in terms of the high school sports calendar year at a later podcast looking at winter and spring. Let's look ahead to 2019 for high school football. Every year there's some tinkering that happens at either the formula for who goes into what division. We've seen big changes like competitive equity come in the last 5 years. What do you anticipate being next for Southern Section high school football playoff formatting? Is there a chance there's an open division next year? Are there changes that you see coming to make sure that the teams who have been competitive in their division so far can continue to be so as they move up the ranks?
I would always want everyone to know that we continually look to refine and improve and get better at what we're doing with competitive equity playoffs. There's going to be a discussion regarding the top division, what could potentially be done there. We will continue to work on formulas, and the real goal is to try to incorporate the current regular season. I think you and I have talked about that already. We have the 2 previous years that we've been using as our formulas, and based on the information and performance of the previous 2 years, we're really working and getting closer to incorporating the current regular season in conjunction with the 2 previous years. That, to me, would be a much more accurate way of being able to rank our teams. The open division concept, or the idea of starting that up, would be the first step, where we would be using the current regular season for rankings to go along with the previous 2 years, and then identify the top teams and say this is going to be the top division.
Something like if you made the Final Four the year before, you're automatically in. If you otherwise you're in a pool, and depending on how you do in the first however many games, you move up or you go to Division I, something like that, maybe.
Yeah, that's pretty close to the idea. That some of our other sports are already doing it. Basketball, for example, will develop a list of schools on the watch list for open division so that people can track that throughout the year. Some of our sports do a Division I and II, and they combine it At the end of the regular season, they'll select the top teams for Division I, the other teams to Division II. So something like that could definitely be on the horizon for us in football. And again, to use the current regular season for football is probably closer to most of our sports. We will have all the scores. We will have all that data by the end of the regular season. We can plug that in to the previous power rankings and see what that gets us. So we're close. I don't know if it's 2019, but the overall idea is to try to incorporate the regular season that just finishes. As you know, some schools will have a great year and then we'll lose a lot of those players, and the next year they just won't be at that level, yet they're going to end up in the top division or moved up several divisions because of the success they enjoyed. But the current season, none of those players are left. So it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be that good the following year. That's where we want to try to get the regular season involved and see if we can really make it more accurate.
It's a tough job, but that's why we've got the best people in position to do it. Rob Wigod, the Commissioner of the CIF Southern Section, congrats on a great championships weekend and best of luck overseeing all of the state title games. The big one at Cerritos College, correct?
Correct. December 8th, the Open Division game by itself at 8 o'clock. The weekend of the 14th and 15th of December, there'll be 4 more games there, 2 on Friday, 2 on Saturday. Our crew ran the first 9 years of the state football championship games at the StubHub, Home Depot, whatever you want to call it, center now. And they invited us back to be the group to administer and run those games at Cerritos. So we'll be back to work the next couple of weekends after this one.
Looking forward to them and looking forward to talking to you for the winter sports as well.
Great, Sam. Thank you so much.
All right.